The morning sun filtered softly through my curtains, wrapping my room in a golden glow. I stretched lazily, half dreaming, until I saw the colorful streamers hanging from my door. "Happy 18th birthday" was written in bold letters, and beneath it, a note in my father's handwriting. "Get ready. My princess and today will be unforgettable." I smiled wider than I had in months. Lately, Dad had seemed distant, always buried in his phone or staying late at work. But today he was different. When I came downstairs, he was already in the kitchen wearing his old apron, humming an old tune while flipping pancakes. My mother watched him silently from the table, a faint smile on her lips that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Morning, birthday girl," Dad said, turning with a bright grin. He presented a plate with a pancake stack shaped like the number 18, dripping with honey and strawberries. "Chef's special for my grown-up daughter." I laughed and hugged him. For that moment, everything felt perfect, like our family was whole again. All day, he seemed determined to make me feel special. He took me shopping, bought me the shoes I'd been eyeing for months, and even joined me in taking silly selfies. When evening came, he asked me to get ready for a surprise dinner. I didn't expect much. Maybe a restaurant outing. But when we reached home, the sight made my heart swell. The backyard had been transformed into a wonderland. Fairy lights twinkled between trees, candles lined the table, and a slideshow of my baby photos flickered on a white screen. My friends were already there cheering, and my mother handed me a small bouquet. For the first time in years, I saw my father and mother standing close, smiling together. Dad clinked his glass and said, "To my daughter, the light of my life, the reason I'm proud every single day." His voice trembled slightly as he spoke. I felt tears sting my eyes. He handed me a small velvet box. Inside was a delicate gold necklace with my initials. "Thank you, Dad," I whispered, hugging him tightly. "You made this day unforgettable." I had no idea then that his words, and mine, would soon take on a meaning I could never have imagined. After the last guest left and the laughter faded, I sat alone on the couch replaying the night in my mind. My 18th birthday had been perfect, or so I thought. My parents had danced together for the first time in years. My friends had posted countless videos, and Dad had looked so proud of me. I felt lucky, loved, and hopeful that maybe, just maybe, our family was healing. Around midnight, I went into the kitchen to grab some water. The house was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator. My father had stepped out, saying he needed to drop off a friend who lived nearby. I didn't think much of it. He'd always been friendly, always helpful. As I poured my drink, I noticed his phone lying on the counter, buzzing repeatedly. I hesitated, not wanting to invade his privacy, but the screen lit up again, and my heart stuttered when I read the message preview. "Last night was unforgettable too. Can't wait to see you again." My chest tightened. Last night? My mind raced. Maybe it was work-related, or a joke from a friend, but something deep inside me whispered that it wasn't. Against every instinct, I unlocked his phone. What I saw next shattered me. There were dozens of messages, late-night chats, romantic emojis, secret photos between my father and Lena, my mother's best friend. Lena, who had been at the party tonight, smiling, hugging my mother, clinking glasses beside her as if nothing was wrong. Tears welled up as I scrolled further. Their words were intimate, familiar. They called each other love. My throat closed, and I dropped the phone onto the counter as if it had burned me. I wanted to scream, but all that came out was silence. I looked around the house. The fairy lights, the half-eaten cake, the birthday decorations, and everything suddenly felt fake. The love I'd celebrated that night had been built on a lie. When my father came home minutes later, smiling and humming softly, I could barely breathe. He kissed my forehead and said, "Did you have a good night, sweetheart?" I forced a nod, hiding the storm inside me. Yes, I had an unforgettable night, just not for the reason he thought. The next morning, the house felt different, heavier somehow, like the air itself carried a secret no one wanted to speak of. My eyes were swollen from crying through the night. I hadn't slept a minute, replaying the messages, the photos, the lies. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw my father's smiling face beside Lena's name. When I finally went downstairs, Mom was in the kitchen, humming softly as she fried eggs. Dad sat at the table, scrolling through his phone like he did every morning. That sight made my stomach twist. How could he sit there so calmly, pretending everything was normal? "Morning, sweetheart," he said without looking up. His voice sounded almost too cheerful. I clenched my fists. Mom smiled. Sit down, honey. Let's eat together, just like old times. Old times, I repeated under my breath. I sat down, but my hands trembled. The silence between spoon clinks and toast crunches grew unbearable. My heart pounded so hard I thought they could hear it. Finally, I couldn't hold it in any longer. How could you do this to Mom? The words burst out of me before I could stop them. Dad froze mid-bite. His fork fell onto the plate. What are you talking about? He asked, his tone suddenly cautious. I took out my phone and slid it across the table. You tell me, I said quietly. He picked it up, saw the screen, and his face turned pale. Mom looked between us, confused. What's going on? She whispered. It's nothing, Dad said quickly, standing up. It's a misunderstanding. I slammed my hand on the table. Don't lie to me! I saw everything, the messages, the pictures. With Lena. Mom's eyes widened. She covered her mouth, shaking her head. No, that can't be true. Dad tried to reach for her, but she stepped back as tears streamed down her face. The air crackled with pain and betrayal. The man who once seemed larger than life now looked small, cornered, and ashamed. I stood up, my voice trembling. You made my birthday unforgettable, Dad, I said bitterly. Just not the way I thought you would. Then I walked out, leaving behind the sound of my mother's sobs and my father's broken apologies echoing through the house. Weeks passed after that morning, but the pain lingered like a shadow that refused to leave. The house, once full of warmth and laughter, now felt cold and quiet. My mother barely spoke, moving through her days like a ghost. My father had moved into a rented apartment nearby, leaving behind the life he had broken. And me? I felt caught in the middle of two people I loved, torn between anger and sorrow. At first, I hated him. I hated how easily he had lied to us, how he had smiled through the party while living a double life. But late at night, when I thought about the years he spent working hard for our family, about how he taught me to ride a bike, helped me with homework, and stayed up when I was sick, the hatred melted into confusion. How could someone so good in one moment be so flawed in another? One evening, there was a knock at the door. When I opened it, my father stood there, looking older than I'd ever seen him. His hair was messy, his eyes tired, and in his hand, he held the small velvet box from my birthday, the one with the gold necklace. Can I come in? He asked quietly. I hesitated but nodded. We sat on the porch, the cool wind brushing against us. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Then he said, I'm sorry. I know sorry isn't enough, but I need you to hear it from me. I made terrible choices. I hurt your mother. I hurt you. But I never stopped loving you. Tears filled my eyes, but I didn't speak. He looked at the necklace in his hand and placed it gently on my lap. Keep this, he said. It was meant to remind you of how much you mean to me. I hope someday when the pain fades, it can mean that again. I took a deep breath. I can't forget what you did, Dad, I whispered. But I don't want to hate you forever. I just need time. He nodded, his eyes glistening. Take all the time you need. Then, without another word, he turned and walked away. As I watched him disappear down the street, I touched the necklace and whispered, Goodbye, Dad. That night, I realized forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It just helps you move forward. And that's what I chose to do.